Okay, so for tonight's section, we'll talk about the basics of Python. Okay, all right. So during our last meeting, we all decided on an application that we want to build. So we shared the models among ourselves. Okay, all right. So today we want to know the programming language that we use for that project. Okay, so we use Python for that project. It's going to be a web-based application. We're going to use Python for that. And also for the data scientists, I think most of us, the backend developers that are on this platform, they want to venture into data science. Okay, so that's why we want to use Python. All right. So overview of programming or programming language. Okay, so someone would ask, why Python? Okay, so for Python, when you talk about machine learning in AI, right, Python is the #1 language that we use. Okay. All right, so for the programming languages, we have a lot of them. We have a number of them. We have Python, we have JavaScript, we have PHP, we have C#, a number of them, okay? But based on the project that you want to build, or based on what you want to achieve, then you decide on the programming language. So for instance, if you are a coach for Black Stars and you don't understand, let's say, Tree or whatever, and you are going to Tune first place. You see, some of the kings there, they don't understand English. Okay, so what you have to do is you get an interpreter who can interpret your English into, let's say, into Tree. Okay, so based on your location, you chose Tree. So the same thing. So based on the project that you want to build, you are choosing Python. But since it's a language, you see, language, they all follow the same format. Okay, so let's say the boy is going to school. Fees who can say be a boy in a school. So it follows some pattern, right, or some syntax. So it's the same across all languages. So that's why if you're a programmer, if you learn a particular language very well, you can know all the program languages. Okay. All right. So someone would say, why are we using Python? Okay. So with the programming languages, we have types. We have assembly language. We have these low-level languages that we use. So Python is actually a low-level language because when you take a computer, okay, what it understands is 0 and 1s, okay. So, but for Python or for these JavaScripts that we know, you don't have to write it in 0 and 1s for the computer to interpret for you, okay. You just have to write it in words or numbers or whatever. But when you talk about the assembly language, it's also a language. But that one is at its lowest level. So with that one, the computer really understands. So we have assembly language, okay, and we have this Python, JavaScript, they are all in other level. So with the Python, for instance, I'm sharing the screen here. The syntax that we will learn for Python is different from JavaScript, but the concepts are the same. Okay, all right. So that's that. So let's go through the installation of Python. Please, I hope you all have our laptops with us. I'm sharing my screen. Please, do we have Python on our machines? Have you installed it already?
Yes, I've done that.
Okay, so please, if you have not done it, just let me know and I'll go through the installation process again. Hello?
Yeah, mine too is done.
Okay. All right.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Right, I've downloaded, but it seems if you can go through the installation process for me too.
Okay,
Yes.
so are
I think
you
mine is not activated, and I think I have a portion that say I can use trial. But I don't know whether I can get a full package
okay
in
then?
some other way of install.
I think it's because of the version you downloaded. Is it the PyCharm?
PyCharm.
Okay, so I posted two softwares that we should download. Okay, the first one was Python. Okay, so that's the programming language. Okay, so with the machines that we use, they don't understand any language. What they understand is zero and ones. Okay, so if you want your machine to understand a specific language, you have to install it. So if you want your machine to understand Node.js, it's also a language. You have to install it. Okay. So if you want it to understand Python, you have to install it. So that's why we installed Python. Okay. So most of us, we went to python.org. So um, let me share. Okay, so since we've decided that we want to use Python to work on our project and to also master in data science, we have to go to python.org, okay, to download the software. So once we download the software and we install, so go here, go to Python, so it will start downloading. I already have it. Okay, so this is the installation process. But if you are on Windows, okay, you see, you get to a point and it will ask you add Python to path. The meaning of that one is this. Okay. You see, please can you see my screen? Okay.
Yeah, you
Okay.
can
So
see.
this is the meaning. Adding Python to your path. This is the meaning. Okay. You see, once you install the language, it means your computer should automatically understand Python. Okay. So anywhere you type Python commands, the computer should be able to interpret it. So if you don't take the add Python to path, it means the command prompt, that's the command prompt, the default prompt for, or the default terminal for Windows, it wouldn't understand Python commands, even though you've installed it. The only thing that would understand it is in your IDEs. Your IDEs, this is what I mean, the software that you use to code or to write the code. That's the only thing that will understand the Python commands. So this machine for this Windows, for instance, I've not added Python to pass. So if I type Python version, I'm not going to get anything. They said Python was not found. Okay. But if I add, okay, so let me see if I have, I'm not sure I have it. This one. So if I had added it to the part, what would have happened was the terminal or the whole machine would understand Python. Okay, so that's why when you are installing it on Windows, you have to take add to Python. But in case you don't add,
Hey, please, I think I can see.
you can't see it.
Yeah.
Okay, a minute. Let me share. Please, I'm coming. Okay. Sure. Can you see? Okay, so as I said, so if you don't add the Python to your part, it means your whole machine wouldn't understand the language. The only thing that will understand is your IDE. Okay. All right. So the IDE or the software that you use to code the language is the IDE. All right. So for Python, the most popular one that we use is PyCharm. So that's why we installed PyCharm. Okay. So I'm sure we all have the PyCharm. Please, if any one of us doesn't have it, just let us know so that I can also go through the installation for the PyCharm.
Hey, like the installation part, I didn't see it well.
For the PyCharm or the Python?
The PyCharm.
The PyCharm. Okay.
Yes.
Have you downloaded it?
Yes, I've installed it, but it seems you were linking it to setting up.
No, I've not linked it to anything.
Ah, okay.
Yes, I've not linked
Then
it.
it's okay because
Okay.
I've done it and I've opened the interface.
Okay, that's fine. So are you on the same page?
Yes.
Okay, so when you open PyCharm, the first thing that we see here is V environment. So it's a virtual environment. All right, so that one we've not gotten there. Please, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Obisi want it. Okay, so
Yeah, Maka, I'm installing my battery to go on the PyCharm. I've already installed the Python.
okay. Okay, leave and join. So someone says he's not hearing, so I'm just responding to the person. All right, so we are going to start with the Python. And with the Python language, what I'll do is I'll show you a live project, okay, a working project. So anything that we practice here, we'll go there and see whether we can find it in the live project, okay? All right, so that's what we will do. Okay, so the first thing that we talk about is you see, this one we talk about it, right? So you can just right click on the project, or you can create a new project, okay? You can create a new project here. Then click, you just name the project, okay? So you can name it, let's say, first project or something. I think I already have it. Then you click on create. Please, are you there? Have you created a project? Hello?
Hello, yes.
Yeah, Richard,
Yes.
I've created
So,
one.
yeah, so to create a project, you go to the top there, you click on file, you click on new project, then you name the project. So let's say first project. Then you click on create. This one is just asking me whether to open a new window or to this first window. Please, have you done this? Should I move on?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So once you create it, the first thing that happens is these are just functions. So they will create a file for you under the virtual environment. So the virtual environment, I said you've not gotten there yet. So what you need to do is just right click on the folder here and go to new, then go to Python file, okay? Then we can name the Python file. So you can name it homepage, okay? So this will be the homepage. Then click on Python file. Please, have we done that?
Yes.
Hello?
Hello.
Yes. Have we done that?
Yeah.
Okay. Right. So the next thing is what? So today we just talk about variables. Okay. All right. So in any programming language, let me. All right. So in any programming language, we have variables. Okay. So the first variable that we talked about is int. They also talk about float. We talk about strings. Okay, so let's look at the meaning of these three. All right, so with the int, that's integer. All right, so the int is integer. So for instance, this one, let's say 8. 8 is an integer, okay? So anything without a decimal is an integer. Any number without a decimal is an integer, cool, okay? So any number without a decimal is an integer. All right. So for example, let's say 8. Then we talk about the float. So numbers with decimals, okay, this is called float. Then we talk about strings, okay. String is just a sequence of characters, okay. So for instance, what I'm typing here, this one is a string. Numbers is a string. Okay, so today we just talk about these three variables. There's no rushing. All right. But one thing that's very important is variables. You see, yesterday we talked about the database. You see, the database, we said that's where information is being stored in any system. Okay. So you can have your server here and your database will be somewhere in America storing your data. Okay. All right. But in programming languages or in programming language, one thing you can do is it's not always important to save your data in the database, okay, because it takes time. For instance, if there's a laptop and I have my database in, let's say, in Accra, okay, so anytime I want to access Collins, let's say Collins age, I go to the database and pick up Collins age, okay, it's not very important. What I can do is, if it's short term or it's a temporary variable, what I need to do is I need to save it in the programming language itself. For instance, Collins has come to my application. Okay. Then I ask Collins, what is your age? Then Collins will say, let's say 57. So if Collins types 67, what I can do is I can save it in a database, or I will save it in the programming language, like the script that I've written, that Collins is using. Okay. And I only save it in the script because I wouldn't need it in the future. Like, it's not important. I don't need to retrieve it tomorrow. Okay. So if I need to retrieve it in the future, that's when we save it in the database. But if it's not important, we save it in a variable. Okay. So this is how we save values in variables. So if I want to save something in variable, let's say age. Okay. I'll do age is equal to 45. So this one means I've saved 45 inside age. So that's the meaning. And also with the naming, you see how I named it. I started with small letters. And there was no space. So for instance, if I want to name something, you have the naming conventions, you have types that is acceptable. So we have types.
Download do software.
So if I want to save something, I can name it age. Like
100 man.
acceptable. So this is acceptable. If I do this, it's acceptable. If I do this, it's acceptable. Okay. It's acceptable. Okay. The only thing that is not acceptable is when you have spaces in between the variable. So for instance, I cannot do something like age Collins is equal to 45. You see, it's an error. So you can't have spaces in between variables. Okay. And one thing you cannot do is you cannot have these arithmetic characters in variables. So for instance, I cannot say Collins is equal to 45. I cannot name a variable like this. This is wrong. I cannot do this. This is wrong. I can only do age underscore Collins. This is right. Okay. I can do his age is equal to 23. This is also correct. So with the variables, we have acceptable one. Okay. And also, you cannot start a variable with a number. You cannot start a variable with a number. So I cannot do, let's say, 2age is equal to 45. This is wrong because it starts with a number. Okay. So anytime you want to store a value inside a variable, the name of the variable is also very important in programming. And in Python, it's case sensitive. So it means, you see the age I've written here is different from this. It's also different from this. It's different from that because of the spelling. You see, we have capital letters, we have small letters. So it's case sensitive. So that's the meaning. It means small letters and capital letters are very important. Yes, you consider them. So this is not acceptable. So we said not the illegal ones. We have one that starts with numbers, then spaces, space in between. Then arithmetic values.
Yeah, hello, Sir Richard, please. Please, can we all put ourselves on mute so that there will be little interruption?
Okay. Okay. Thank you. All right. So these variables. All right. So these variables, you cannot name any variable as these three. So you cannot have age, comma, Collins is equal to 45. This is wrong. So you cannot also have age minus t equal to 2. This is also wrong. Okay. Aside these three, anyhow you name a variable is correct. So aside these three, anyhow you name a variable is correct in programming. So let's look at live example. So I'm showing you a live So we have live example. So let me show you live example. So I have this system. Okay, so I have this system. So let's see whether we can see variables. All right, so this is a variable. No, let me look at something. I want something that you can relate to. Okay. Okay. I'm trying to find something that we can all relate to. Okay, let me use it. All right, so I think let's use this. All right, so this, for instance, okay. Okay, so let me copy this one. So this, for instance, okay, this one was a variable, okay. And this one is called a string. So we talked about float, we talked about integer, we talked about so this is actually a string, so it's just any characters, okay. And it has been stored in a variable called SQL get. Okay, but in Python, you see, the one that I opened is JavaScript, okay. And in JavaScript, the name or the type of the variable should be attached to it. So for instance, if I say this is an integer, if it was to be, let's say, JavaScript, I should write int space, then the variable name, then what I want to assign to the variable, okay. But in Python, it's not done that way. In Python, you don't need to write the type of the variable. What you need to do is just write the name of the variable. So let's say my age, okay. My age is equal to, let's say, 24. This is Python. But in other languages, you have to specify the type of the variable. All right. Yes, Collins.
Richard, the string that you put in the how do you even call it? Is it quotation marks?
Yes.
You said you wrote it in you use some term. You use some term.
Okay, so
I didn't understand it.
okay, so
You
for
said some SQ something.
oh no, I said I placed it inside a variable named. So the SQL something was the name of the variable. So
okay.
it can be anything. Okay.
Okay.
And for strings, you've remembered me, and for strings, it can be inside single quote or double quote, okay, or triple bracket. So triple quote like this. So let's say I'm writing Kofi is going to school, okay, and I want to store Kofi is going to school inside a variable named, let's say, school. This is valid. Or I can write it inside a double quote. So Kwame is coming. Okay, and let's say I'm saving it in a variable, say, let's say, count. Okay, and also valid if I want to write it inside triple quote. Okay, so Kwaku is a boy. So this is also valid. It's equal to, let's say I'm saving a variable called boy. Okay, this is valid. But for the third one, this one, the triple quote, you only use it if you want to write strings of multiple lines, okay? So for instance, you see these ones, they are just one line. But if I want to write it a string with multiple lines, so let's say, so you see this is valid. But with this one, it is only valid if it attaches this one, the backslash, okay? So let me just delete it and show something. You see, if I
I think we can't see. Hello.
hello,
Yeah,
can
I think we can't see full screen.
you can't see my screen?
Yeah.
So,
Okay, but Richard, I can see your screen. So
please check well. Okay. All right. So I said with the single quote or double quote, you can only
Okay.
you can only use the single or double quote when it's just one line. So this one, you see, is one line, right? But if it's multiple lines, what you have to use is the three quote, so that in that case you can write, and all these will be assigned to the variable name boy. Okay. But for this one, if you want to do it, you have to bring backslash. So this one will come, and that will show that you've gone to a next line. In other programming languages is \n. Okay, but this one is different. All right, so that's for variables. The next one is
Rich,
yes.
sorry for not raising my hand. I have a question.
Okay.
With the quote, the double quote.
Okay, double quote.
What if you are writing a string and let's say the sentence that you are putting in, maybe instead of what is your name, I want to write what's your name.
What's your name?
What's your name? So with what's your name, can I use only one quote instead of the double?
No, it will be wrong. It's wrong. So in that sense, what you have to do is just the double quote or the triple quote.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. All right. So let's practice this one. So what you need to do is in Python, we have some inbuilt.
Hello. Like the examples you've shown us.
Yes.
Like I did not see any termination, or
okay. So
we don't apply termination here.
Okay, so with Python, we don't apply terminations. Okay.
Okay.
I don't want to confuse you, so I just so people don't know termination. So
Richard, termination there, we are lost though.
no termination. You see,
some of us don't understand termination.
Okay, so yes. So in other program languages like this, you see, when I finished writing this one, I brought what's the name? Semicolon. Okay. So to show that I've ended that line. So that's what we call termination. Please, can we see?
Yes.
Yes. So in other program languages, anytime you finish writing a line of code, you have to bring semicolon. But in Python, it's not done that way. What you need to do is just go to the next line. Okay.
Like in VBA, the one they end with that end with or something.
Yes.
Right.
Yes. Okay.
Okay.
And also, you see, in every programming language, we have something we call the inbuilt function or inbuilt variable. Okay. There are some variables or there are some what's the name? There are some functions that are inbuilt. So, for instance, example, let's say something like print. Okay.